He's got the same jumper as you?
Yeah, he's got a similar one.
Okay, so do you just want to be Daniel? Or?
And don't include that part in it. All he taught me was a simple price action, high time frame analysis, zooming in, looking for an entry point. It was so simple that you can't.
Do you want to tell us how much you actually had paid out from prop firm so far?
30,000. It would have been 100 if I never got rejected. Those payouts.
What would your advice be to someone that's new coming into the industry? They don't quite have it because they're not doing what these gurus are doing.
Yeah, just start off by learning a simple strategy. You can learn a standard break and a retest and a continuation, and learn about mindset management. A lot of mindset management is going to be you losing and learning from it. If you're consistent, 3 months on like a, maybe like £1,000 account, if you have that money, or £500 account, based off like 3 to 6 months, then you can go on to trade prop firms.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Trader Talk. This episode, I am on my own. I don't have my co-host Berkay or Mo today, so I am in full control yet again. But today's guest, we have probably the youngest trader maybe that I've met, and I think one of the youngest traders with Equity Edge in general. So welcome, Hamid. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So for everyone watching at home, do you want to just tell them who you are and why you're here?
Right, so I'm Hamid, one of Equity Edge's youngest trader. I'm 18 and I've had multiple payouts with Equity.
So when did you start trading, like start learning to trade?
So I started learning how to trade at 15 and obviously start trading prop firms when I'm 18. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what were you doing previous to prop firms? Were you just learning, or were you having a sneaky trade?
Yeah, so I've been obviously trading since 15, and obviously I was learning how to trade obviously on demo accounts and things like that until obviously I came across prop firms, and one of them was Equity.
Okay, cool. How many prop firms have you had funding with?
So I've had funding with ACG, FTMO and Equity Edge.
Okay, cool. The top firms as well, I feel like.
Yeah, I've also been denied some.
Oh, why were you refused?
No, so like I got rejected like 60k.
Why?
So the firm went underwater.
Were you arbing?
Pardon?
Were you arbing? Okay, why?
No, the firm, well, I had 400k with TFT that was in drawdown. They shut down and came back and gave everyone demo accounts that had funded accounts in drawdown. So obviously then when I had 200k and I had a 10k payout, and obviously they never paid me out. And it was because one of the trades was held under 30 seconds. Or under 10 seconds, sorry, that was in their rules. And it's a position that I closed and it hit stop loss under 10 seconds, so it's like under my control. It's like I can't control that. So they denied the whole payout because of that. And I made no profits in that trade anyway, so it was just that. Okay. It was like 60k payout, and the firm just went underwater, so they paid no one out.
Okay, so you weren't rejected. You just got stung by the prop firm, taken down weight.
It wasn't just me. There was loads of people. Like Daniel got rejected.
I thought you got rejected because you like doing something that you shouldn't be.
No.
But
the firms just went underwater.
That's better than you actually getting like banned and rejected.
Well,
I mean, it's still unfortunate, but
if I got banned or not, it's the same outcome, I guess.
Yeah. So how did you get into trading? Like, what were you doing at 15?
Yeah.
To make you want to get into trading?
Yeah. So it's a bit of a weird one because originally I was on Discord not to trade, but I had GCSE exams and I sucked at exams. So it's like, aside from YouTube and like online resources, there was like big Discord communities with like hundreds of thousands of members that were kind of teaching you how to be good at English and math. And I joined one of them, and one of their mentors was someone that like was the same age as me, and they were obviously they got into trading as well. His name's Will, and obviously I then messaged him like, yo, you do edXL PE? He was like, nah. And then a few weeks later, I messaged him again. I was like, do you do PE? He was like, nah, we already spoke. And then, a couple months go by, and then like out the blue, he just goes like, bro, I'm starting to learn how to trade. Obviously, we spoke a bit before then, and I was like, so what's this trading thing? So it's just from a guy that I know online, and then obviously then I joined Daniel's Discord, and then I met him, learned from him, became good friends with him, and work with him now. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one through Discord, and now we trade, so it's good.
Yeah, no, but that's sick though, getting into it at 15.
Yeah.
And obviously now you're here, you're 18, and now you can start rinsing prop firms.
Yeah, we can.
Do you want to tell us how much you actually had paid out from prop firm so far?
Like 30,000.
That is not bad. Not bad. So when did you turn 18?
6 months ago.
So basically 30 bags in 6 months.
Yeah, pretty much. It would have been 100 if I never got rejected those payouts.
Ooh. That's good though.
Yeah.
That's good. I feel like you don't shout about that on social media, which is like a good thing.
Nah, I did at the time.
Oh, okay. I was late to the party.
I created a couple of videos, but it's like I realized it went nowhere. And some of the people I'm close with who are really successful, that they were like, bro, there's no point, because like the more negative you talk about, like the more it spirals down, and you just like more happens that you don't want to happen.
Yeah, I get that.
And I guess that kind of happened because I had, at the time, I got rejected all those payouts, didn't have funding, had like 600k in phase 2s with 2 different prop firms, and I blew all 600k. It wasn't all at once. It was through, let's say February I had 300k and then I blew it. March I had another 300k in phase 2 and I blew it, etc. But it's like when shit goes wrong and you can't control your emotional emotional being, it doesn't matter how good you are as a trader and how good your technicals are. It's like, even if your psychology is on point, when something really bad happens to you and you can't accept that and move on it, then yeah, you're just going to lose more, I guess.
You know what? You saying that has really shocked me, because I feel like every conversation we've had, it's just you being a weirdo and abusing me. Well, that's probably the smartest thing I've ever heard you say.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm impressed. So go into a little bit of a psychological standpoint, because I feel like it's completely different for you, because you are so young, you have no responsibilities in life. You are literally at the prime point of your life where you can literally do whatever you want to do. Yeah. So how is it managing your psychology when it comes to trading? Like, do you go through those like drawdown periods where you're like really doubting yourself and doubting your skill, or are you just at the point where you're just like, I don't know, kind of at like the delusion point where you're just like not even thinking about that, like I'm just going to keep going?
I feel like everyone faces drawdown differently, but for me, it's like I don't care if I lose an account. It's like, for me, I have a 200k ACG, let's say I blow it, I know I can get that back within a month. Again, some people are like, oh, well, you full margin and you do this and you're risking 2%, and it depends where you are as a trader, and I'm at a very blessed point where I can afford to lose 2, 3, 4 accounts before getting funded again, and then obviously make my losses back. But let's say I was to lose all my funding tomorrow, I can just get it back in about a month or two, trading 1-2% risk. So
you're
it's like I really don't care.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of people, like, let's say you risk 2% to start with, and when you go to 4 to 6 to 8% drawdown because you're risking 2%, then they're like, let me risk 0.25, and if I make this many trades in this amount of time, I've tried that, it doesn't work for me. So if I risk 2% and I blow the account, that's fine. But at the same time, if you're on the opposite end of the 2% risk and you're making 4 to 6 to 8% profit, and then you wait for the profit, so yeah.
Would you say that do you feel like you gamble a little bit when you're like on the challenge phases?
It depends what you class as gambling, because if you say like, do you risk more than 2% on a good position, or is it just you taking random positions? So it's like, it depends.
I mean, in terms of like, do you risk a lot more on the challenge phase than you do on the live account?
Yeah, so on the, well, it's pretty much the same thing, always 1 to 3%. And some people say, well, 3%, that's a bit mad, you only get 10% drawdown, you only get 3 positions. And a lot of the traders that people adore and like really, really like in the space that they haven't met but I have, they risk 2 to 3% per trade as well.
I know this too.
Yeah, so it's like everyone thinks, like these guys online, they've got big following and they're really, really good traders, which they are, and they think they risk 0.25%, 0.1%, it's ridiculous. They risk 2-3%, and obviously they hit 2-3 good positions, they've passed phase 1, passed phase 2, and they've made a payout, and they're making content on YouTube, so.
You know what, that pretty much sums up the whole platform industry, I feel like.
It literally does.
It literally is, like, a lot of these people that you see online, like, the people with the biggest following, that is exactly how they trade. Yeah. And some of them are honest about it and others aren't quite honest about it.
Yeah.
But we all know that 9 times out of 10 they're risking a lot more than what they probably should if you want to call yourself a professional trader.
Yeah. But I feel like prop firms are designed for you to do that. Because let's say if that was 100k of your own capital, you're not going to risk 2-3%. Even though if you think about it, risking 2-3% for you as a good trader to then go in 50%, 60% drawdown on a live account that is your capital is pretty rare. So
yeah,
I would say if I had 100k of my own capital to trade with, I wouldn't be risking 2-3% until I have a buffer on the account.
I do agree with that actually. I think, like you say, prop firms can kind of be gamified. And I think as much as they're not supposed to be, I think they just are. Like,
Yeah.
it's simulated funds, so you're going to treat them as simulated funds, I feel
Yeah.
like. And I feel like because even though we're paying for the challenges, it's still not the same kind of mental toll that if you were trading a 100k live account.
Yeah, yeah.
So you are going to be a bit of a degenerate
Oh yeah.
either way.
It's like I paid $30 for a 10k equity hedge account, $30, and I made what, 2,000.
Wow.
So let's say someone pays $30 for an account, they're then allowed to risk 2-3% on a position, and they make 10-20%. That's not unheard of because they've just turned $30 into 2,000 and then scaled that. From that 2,000, you can then buy 200k, 400k, etc. And then scaled that, and then go to the millions. But that's how prop firms work. You start with $30, and I did that, just to show people that it's kind of possible. And it's like, of course, I was using 3-4% risk. It's a 10k account. No serious trader, unless they're at a point where they can't get a 200k account, are trading 10ks.
Yeah.
So,
I also agree with that as well.
Yeah.
Like, I can only trade now 100k and above. I feel like if I go any lower, I don't know, my mindset is completely different when I go to any lower than that.
Yeah, but I feel like if you trade, like let's say some firms have 400k max allocation, and you have 4 100ks, and you trade 4 different trades on all of them, risking 2% and a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. You then have 4 chances to make 6k or 4k. So if you have 100k, you can kind of do that.
That makes sense.
So if you obviously have max allocation and you're trading one at a time, you have 40% drawdown instead of the standard 10.
Yeah, that is a good point actually.
So that's how I treat prop firm accounts.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think a lot of people do in this industry treat prop firms like games, and a lot of the people, and this is something that, it doesn't annoy me, but it makes it hard for new people coming into the industry. So obviously a lot of these people that have big followings will do that. They'll risk a lot, they'll get like a massive payout, post about it, and then they'll start a course, and it's like that whole cycle. But I think people need to understand that these people are risking a lot more than what newbie traders should be, and what I feel like their mindset can handle. What would your advice be to someone that's new coming into the industry, obviously seeing all of these like prop firm gurus making all of this money, or at least posting all of these payouts? What would your advice to be for them who are maybe looking at these and thinking like they don't quite have it because they're not doing what these gurus are doing?
Yeah, so if you're coming into the trading space and you're a newbie trader, depending on where you are in life currently, you're either going to be aggressive or conservative. And obviously, if you're conservative, you're not going to be risking, let's say on a 100k account, 2-3% to then make 10k or 20k and then post about it everywhere. What you could do is just start off by learning a simple strategy. Literally on YouTube, you don't need to pay anyone to learn. And just learn basic mindset stuff. That is it. Literally, you can learn a standard break and a retest and a continuation, and learn about mindset management. A lot of mindset management is going to be you losing and learning from it, so it's not really something you can learn on YouTube. But after that, if you're consistent, 3 months on like a, maybe like £1,000 account, if you have that money, or £500 account, based off like 3 to 6 months, then you can go on to trade prop firms.
Mm-hmm. Do you think going from live account to prop firms is difficult?
I think I started on prop firms, so it's like I wouldn't really know, but like I obviously after trading prop firms then got a live account. But I feel like you're more mature on a live account. Like I treat like a £1,000-2,000 live account a lot more seriously than like a 200k account.
That makes sense because that's your own capital.
Yeah.
If you see that go, then that's obviously going to burn more than losing a 200k account that you've had a payout from.
Yeah.
So you're not at any risk with that. With a 200k live account, that's all your risk.
Yeah, but after obviously trading a live account, I've invested pretty much most of what I've put in live accounts into prop firms simply because you get access to bigger capital. Like for example, for £1,000, you can manage 300k. So that means your initial 1,000 risk, you are now risking $3,000, which is like 2.5 GBP. So like you're managing a lot more in capital. And obviously if that's a live account, which you're going to get paid from, so just make sure you're trading with a firm that actually pays you out. And if you are, then you're going to be good.
Firm that actually pays you out.
Yeah. No, it's because let's say someone, it was like their last bit of money and they went with a firm and they made 10k. Yeah, they never got their refund, which they paid like $600 for the account for. It was their last bit of money. and they could have, you know, kind of changed their life from there. Obviously, I was at a point where I could get more accounts, you know, it wasn't the end of the world. I was chilling. But some people aren't chilling. So it's peak. Couldn't defend that pays out.
Yeah, I mean, word of advice. So taking it back to when you first started learning, so you said that you learned from Daniel FX.
It's Daniel FX, yeah?
Yeah. I know, with his chain.
Yeah, with his
we
chain.
know.
Without his chain as well.
Actually, he's got that jumper, hasn't he? I was just thinking, I know I've seen this jumper, and I'm sure it's Daniel, isn't it? Now we mentioned Daniel. He's got the same jumper, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a similar one.
Okay, so do you just want to be Daniel, or?
And I don't include that part in it.
Okay, so what is the strategy? Like, what did he teach you, and is that still what you use today?
Yeah, so I started learning from Daniel when I was 16, as I've said before, but all he taught me was a simple price action, high time frame analysis, zooming in, looking for an entry point. It was so simple that you can't, you literally can't. So what happens to a lot of traders is they find a plan, and then when it loses, they find a reason for why it lost. So they always want, maybe there was like further liquidity to the downside, maybe there was an unbreak of structure that happened, maybe the imbalance was mitigated before. Some that happened, and they'll find an excuse to, you know, kind of invalidate the position so their win rate doesn't go, you know, higher or lower. But Daniel taught me a super easy system where if you're wrong, you're wrong. That's it. There's no other answer. There's no other thing you did wrong, etc. So I found that really easy, and all I did was implement that onto a forex spec, because he trades obviously indices. I trade based off break of structures, look for a break of structure on one time frame and move from there. So very easy, which meant psychology was incredibly easy, because when you're wrong, you just move away from the charts. Easier said than done, but it's easier than if you had a system where if you were wrong, you then had to look for excuses for why it was wrong, etc.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Do you feel like because you are so young, it is easier to manage your psychology? I feel like we spoke about this earlier, but I want to hone in on it because I want to know what it's like to be an 18-year-old trading prop firm.
I think it's a lot difficult. So obviously when you're 18 and you don't have much expenses, you've, you know, never been through life. Because of that, I feel like you can afford to do a lot of dumb shit. And obviously as an 18-year-old trader, that's been blessed to have access to the amount of capital, like 300k, 400k, etc. I have done, let's say, dumb when I didn't know how to trade properly. So, you know, like I'd get a 200k, risk, you know, 5k on it, you know, sometimes 10k, and, you know, hope the trade goes my way to pass the account in one day, etc. Like, I feel like you're exposed to that a lot more than if you've, you know, kind of been beat out of by life, and then, you know, you're more mature, you know, you're taking more conservative positions. You need to kind of be molded into that. You can't like come out the womb like that.
I get that, but I feel like that would make psychology easier because you haven't been through the struggles of life. So you're at a point of life where you basically don't give a like.
Yeah.
You can do whatever, and any mistakes that you make now are probably crucial to the person that you will be in 10 years' time. So like being so young and like you don't really have that psychology there to be broken. Whereas like me, who's nearly 10 years older, I've been through life and I have responsibilities. So anything that affects my psychology is probably going to affect other areas of my life. Like there's a lot of things that I have to keep stable and keep a solid mindset to be able to keep those things stable. Whereas because you're 18, you don't have those responsibilities that you have to like worry about. So if you lose a challenge, if you blow an account, if you just take one bad trade, there's not like much of a knock-on effect to like the greater aspect of your life. I feel like you're still at a point where you can afford to make a lot of mistakes. Whereas for someone like me, making those mistakes is a lot more detrimental to my psychology, if that makes sense. Yeah,
like when you put it that way, it makes a lot of sense, because now the only stress, I guess, is just trading related. But aside from that, it's like I can't really think of anything. So it would make trading psychology a lot easier, but like in the moment, when you're in the moment trading and you're taking the wrong position, for example, you know, when you take a position that loses and it's your third losing trade and you're
that's going to feel shit for anyone.
So I feel like apart from that, there's not much that goes into it. So it makes, like, let's say the whole idea of trading a lot easier. So it's like someone would see success a lot quicker when they're 17, 18, 19, learning how to trade or trading prop firm accounts, because they don't have much to worry about. So they would find a way to make it work, whether that's blowing 10 accounts and on their 11th account they make a 5k payout, they make their losses back and they go again. So yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree. And you don't go to uni or anything, do you?
Nah, just full time.
That's what I mean. So you don't have anything else that you have in the background. So your full focus can be trading. So any mistakes that you're making now, you can pick those up quick and fix them very quick.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I came into it when I was 18 as well, but I was also in uni. So I didn't take it seriously. I also had a part-time job. So there's always been other things in my life that I've had to worry about, which I think has made trading a lot harder for me. Whereas if I was 18 and I could just do this full time and not really have anything to worry about, I probably would have had a lot easier of a journey. But obviously you don't work either, do you?
No, I had an apprenticeship. And
Okay.
I failed a couple exams, so it's like that had to be gone in it.
Okay, so you don't do that anymore.
No.
Were you trading? Wait, so when did you quit that? Or when did you lose that?
It's like a month ago. About a month
Okay.
ago, yeah.
How was trading prior? So when you were doing the apprenticeship, how was trade? Did you notice any difference in then to how it is now?
There's so much of a difference.
Really?
There's so much of a difference.
Like what?
So for example, let's say I was obviously working and it's an apprenticeship and you wake up at 5 o'clock to go to work at 6, college, etc., and then you'd come back for 2. I trade in London session.
Yeah.
Wake up at 5 to then trade at 8. It's not efficient for me. I want to wake up right before my trading session, and that's just because when you wake up, a lot of traders, they wake up, scroll on TikTok, go on YouTube, whatever, and it's like I want my full focus to be on my trading. So as soon as I wake up around 7:45, and a lot of people say wake up 1 hour, go to the gym, go for a run, etc., all that nonsense, but wake up right before your session, do your analysis, and within the first 15 to 30 minutes of London session, I know if I'm going to take a trade or not. So as soon as like 8:30 hits, that's like me pretty much done trading. And obviously everyone says set and forget. I don't really do that. So if I'm in a position, I'll watch my whole position. I'll have a movie or something on my other screen. Like I cannot work if I'm in a position. Don't know, so like someone, you're sat there typing on the keyboard and this, and you're watching the position, it's in drawdown, it's in profit. So it's like I just do something and watch my position, and then after that's done, then I'll go to the gym, and that's me done for the whole day.
So literally all you do is trade and go to the gym?
That's it.
Yeah, that is I feel like every 18-year-old boy's dream life. Yeah,
but they would wish for that. But when I was 16 and we just finished GCSEs, and while they were partying, the standard, they call it probably fun, and I probably should have done that as well. But I didn't, and I had to work a job, and that meant 8 hours a day, wake up at 9. And I'm not chatting, because if anyone knows me, they know I had to walk 1 hour to work till 5 o'clock and walk 1 hour back. And it's simply because my dad wanted to teach me discipline, and it's not that he didn't want to, but he was like, you never learn things the easy way. You either learn it the hard way or the harder way, and you always choose to learn it the harder way. Like just that's just how life works, I guess.
Builds character.
And through doing that, I was like, yo, this life is pretty difficult. I don't want to be working a job. I'm only 15. What the is this?
Yeah.
So I had to do that for the whole of the summer holiday. So when people were going on holiday and things like that, I didn't have that. So I was like, cool, I have to make this trading thing work. And luckily I met the guy Will on Discord, and he kind of taught me, and he really patterned it as well, because like when he said bro trade, I was like, fuck off. Like I work now, I make money, why should I listen to you? Because I was getting like £100 a weekend, and I'd be working every single weekend, and sometimes during the day. And obviously then I realized, this Will guy, he knows something, because it's like, imagine if I have to do this for the rest of my life. I don't want to do this. Yeah. So because I did that then at 15 and continued to work all of 16, and a lot of people said, I had GCSE exams, I can't. A day before my GCSE exams, I still had to go work. My dad's like, you've got an exam, so what? So what? You have to go and work. Because, just as simply as you have to go work. And I did that. And at the time, I felt ashamed. I was like, no, what am I going to tell my friends? Oh my God, I failed this exam, etc. What are they going to think of me? At the time, I thought it was such a bad thing. But now I'm like, whatever. Like, I can tell you, I can tell Brian over there, it doesn't matter. They'll be like, no way you did that. That's a good accomplishment. And obviously, because I did that, now I'm 18, I can do this full time. Well, now they're looking to learn A-levels, they're looking to go work a job, and they're looking to go do all of that. So it's like, it depends on what you wanted. And obviously, I just wanted to trade, I guess.
Obviously, you realised at 15, 16 that this is not how I want my life to look. And you did something about it. And now your future outlook is obviously very, very different from then, which you've obviously turned it around in like 2-3 years, which for such a young age, that is very like a mature thing to do, I think. So I rate that. What does your dad think of your trading?
Haven't told him. When I was 16, I made one mistake of telling my parents I'm looking to trade, and they at the time were like, you got this, you can do it, etc. Then they started asking me, every often, and like, how's it going, etc., and making money or not. And then from that time, I was like, I'm never telling them. So every time they started talking about trading, I was like, yo, so in my apprenticeship, I'm doing this exam, I'm not quite good at it, but I'm trying my best, And they really liked that. They were like, well, talking about what he wants to talk, but now he's completely changing the focus to, apprenticeship and like exams and like, he wants to do that. So then they just stopped asking me, and, I've made payouts, I've made progress, I've passed accounts. And it's like the only people that know are the people I'm close with, and that's it. Like my parents don't know, my sister doesn't know. They don't even know I'm on this podcast.
So what are you going to do when they see this podcast?
They're not.
How do you know?
They're not. Well, if they see this, they obviously know that, like I film content and things. So it's like they really wouldn't care.
If I found out my son had made 30 bags and didn't tell me, I'd be raging.
Well, majority of what I make also goes to my parents as well.
Yeah, but where does it come from? What?
Trading, innit? So it's like I help my parents out still.
Yeah, but where do they think it comes from?
I just don't say.
They don't ask.
My dad would ask me like, cool, you do this crypto thing and whatever you work, you got work online, like how does that work? I just dodge it. I don't want to talk about it. And my dad's just chill. He's like, yeah, whatever.
So he's not now like pushing you. Like, is it now like you've turned 18, like you're just out in the free world to just do what you want?
I guess it's been like that since I've been 15, innit? I guess it's been like that because like he told me to work not because I needed to, but because if I didn't, then when I was 18 now, I'd probably working a job, and it's incredibly difficult. Like anyone that works 8 hours a day and then goes home, back tests, like he's grinding. I have so much respect for that person because I was doing that when I was 16. You go work 8 hours a day, you come home, you've dealt with so many people's. And when I was in my apprenticeship, there was actually a couple people that talked so much, and they probably won't see this, or maybe if it's on my Instagram, they'll see this and they'll continue to talk while working on a machine. So just shut up if you see this. But like it's funny because there was one girl who just kept chatting. Literally non-stop. Oh, it's a scam. She saw that one video with the equity edge that I made. Oh, get stacked, get ripped, get. Just
do you want to tell her anything?
Nah, just have fun at your job. I don't know. It's there's a lot of people who kind of put you down. Like they'll see you made the payout and they'll be like, it's fake. It's not real. You show them the bank transaction. Not that you need to, but you put it on your story or something. It's fake. So it's like, is anything real, I guess?
Yeah.
Honestly.
I think it is hard though. Like people in general think that Forex is a scam. Like if you're not in the industry or don't know someone who is in the industry, then people will see these ads for Forex and trade CFDs or trading 212, and people will just think it's a scam because the way that they market these things, it does come across really scammy. So I do get it. But I think it is hard when you're around people that are just like non-believers and think they are just so against trading. You know that you're making money, and then you feel like you have to prove yourself to these people who genuinely don't give a about you. They just want to have something to say.
The thing is, let's say you're a standard person, which you're not, and you was to ask me, so what do you do? Cool, I trade. And they're like, how much have you made? That's the first question they always ask, how much have you made?
Always.
And then if I was to tell you last month I made X amount, and then you're like, you're lying, you're not telling the truth, show me. And then you I hate having to prove myself. If I say like something to like my little brother, I hate having to prove myself. Like I don't negotiate with children, kids. I don't want to talk to you about it. And it's like, would you be happy to see me make, let's say 6 months of your salary? And then show it to you, and then tell you I made that? Would you be happy? You'd be like, what the are you doing? And then when you obviously explain to them that, cool, it's not going to take 3 years, it's going to take 3 years, and you're probably going to lose a lot of money. And obviously they don't ask, like, one of the questions I see on podcasts is how much have you lost initially in your trading? And I feel like a lot of people want to ask you how much you've made, not how much you've lost. Because initially learning how to trade, I've lost more than 10,000. So it's like, that's simply from what I talked about earlier. You buy an account, you blow it, etc. But they don't ask you these sort of questions. They just ask you how much you made. And when you told them, I made this amount, with no context of how much have you lost, how long have you been doing it, so who taught you, you know, did you learn it yourself? You told them, and you just tell them a figure, and then they're like, so on a yearly basis, you're making 15,000 a month? No, that's not how trading works, unfortunately. But you see what I'm saying?
How do you deal with that? Like,
I don't have to anymore. Previously, when I was in my apprenticeship, obviously I didn't see much of it because majority of the people, obviously they had respect for me. I hope they did anyway, because I had a lot of respect for them.
They acted like it.
But you know, a couple people, they'd see the Insta and like they'd just start chatting. Like not like they'll just go find it and then start finding reasons. They're like, oh, he's with the firm. It's a scammer. He's a scammer, innit?
Yeah.
And he's made a payout. He's lying. He hasn't. And then he's maybe good at it. We don't know for sure if he's good at it, but maybe he is.
Yeah.
So it's like they just don't want to see you in.
It's facts. And I always find it funny when people, like, whenever you tell people that you're a trader, the first question anyone asks is, oh, so, like, how much do you make?
Yeah.
And it's so hard to explain to people that don't understand trading, that trading isn't like I make this figure per month every single month, and like trading isn't like that. And I feel like I will just say to someone, oh, I make like, I don't know, between 2 to 5%. Like, I feel like that's the only way to get around it. And then you have to say, like, some months you don't make anything.
Someone asks me, well, what do you make a month? And like you literally brought up percentages. When you told them you make 2 to 5%, then they're like 2 to 5% on a £1,000 account, £5,000 account. And initially, like they always assume the smaller account sizes.
But I feel like when you start talking percentages, people start to pipe down a little bit.
Yeah, but no,
because
they
like,
they then ask what account size you trade, and it's like cool. It's they initially think it's £1,000 account or 5,000.
Yeah.
They don't think I trade 200k. They're like, what the fuck are you doing with 200k?
Yeah.
Why are you at this job, for example? What are you doing here? Yeah, so I feel like a lot of people also ask me why don't you do this full time? When I was 17, 16, learning how to trade, they were always asking, cool, you're doing quite good in trading. I can see, you know, and I never post profits or things like that. I just usually post a position and break down the trade because I feel like that's what a real trader really does. But when I was 18, and obviously then you start to like post the profits a bit, and people ask you, so why don't you do this full time? And then you have to sit there and answer them that, yo, like I made this amount, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna make it on a month by month basis. And obviously when I did end up getting quite good at it, and now I do it full time, then they're like, oh well, he now dipped out of nowhere, so. I feel like they just want to know, you're good at it, why don't you do it full time? Why don't you go pursue it? And it's like they kind of want to put you down in some way. So like even if you're good at it, they still want to remind you that we're still the same, we're still at the same job, even though you know you're not. So
I feel like that's just normal, natural human hater behaviour. I think humans are just natural haters when it comes to people that are making money outside of what the norm is and what they're used to, because it's so different. I think because we're in the trading world, we forget how different this is to like 90% of people. Most people don't even understand that they can make money online. So people that just work normal jobs are so closed off to the fact that we can make such huge amounts of money and leverage such huge amounts of money and lose such huge amounts of money, and they just can't fathom it because it's not normal to them, I feel like.
Oh, it's like the way I see it, as like when I see someone else my age that is kind of working a job or is in uni, I'm like to myself, that's what they wanted. That's exactly what they wanted. Because if they wanted the change, they've gone to school for 10, 11 years, from year 1 to year 11. They know how being inside of a organization for 8 hours a day feels like. So clearly, if they want to go to uni and college and listen to their parents, I feel like they like that. They want to do that.
But I don't think that is always the case. I think they just don't know any different. I think for most people, they're probably dreading going to work every day, but they're not aware of the fact that there is so many other things that they can do. And I think maybe are so comfortable in what they do, as much as they don't like it, they're scared to step out of that, because it's that fear of, okay, if I step out of this, then it's like just a whole unknown world that they don't know about.
If they're my age and, you know, they're going to uni or college and, you know, they're learning, for example, how to trade, or they're learning how to make money online, you just have to have respect for them. Because if someone's, you know, they go work for 8 hours, they then go to the gym, they don't come home, learn how to trade, deal with, you know, parents telling them they're going to lose, etc., telling them they're not going to make any money, deal with people at work. Because I had to go through that, but not at 18, at 16 and 17. And then after 2 years of listening to all of that, but more time, we've been talking a lot about negative, but some of them are really supportive as well. Like they'll see what you're doing, they'll understand that, cool, you know, they maybe never had those opportunities 10 years ago when they were 18 and prop firms went around. You obviously know that. And, you know, they never got the same opportunities as us, so they can't make the same amount of money as us. So it's like, you know, for the 18-year-olds that know about it, they just G's in it.
I think that is a good point that he made though. Like, obviously when I got into the industry, like nearly 10 years ago, prop firms weren't a thing. So unless coming into the industry, you had to be aware of the fact that you had to start very small and compound your way to wealth. Whereas now, people coming into the industry, you can just pay £500 for a 100k account. If you can pass that account, you have access to $100,000 worth of capital.
That's if the firm pays you.
That's crazy. Yeah, but we're being positive here.
Assuming if
we're being positive. But yeah, that puts it into crazy perspective, because the opportunities that are available now for people that are like fresh out of college, fresh out of uni, you can make a lot of money very quickly.
Yeah.
Or lose it very quickly. But I feel like with prop firms, you are more likely to make a lot.
Yeah, I feel like when you're trading with prop firms, as long as you kind of stick to what you're doing, eventually that moment where everyone makes, for example, that first big payout, or you know, they get their first big access to funding, etc. I feel like as long as you stay in the space, it will work out. Because that's how it's 100%. Been for me. Like, every time I've been like, well, this isn't going to work out. Like, on the back end of being rejected, let's say 3 payouts with 3 good firms, losing 900k in funded live accounts, that I traded live to pass them all. So if you're in my Discord, I traded it live, etc. Losing the payouts and the accounts, on the back end of that, I had another payout, which was like 19.6, and then you get the refund, you know, you get your account back to trade. I feel like I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting, you know, for it to kind of keep going at its own pace. You know, trading is trading. You know, buy an account, pass in a month or so, and then you know, maybe pass phase 2 if you don't go into drawdown first, or get the funded account. Because when you're trading, you have 3 chances to first go in drawdown, and the drawdown, you could potentially blow the account. So it's like phase 1, you go in drawdown, you blow the account. Phase 2, if you then haven't gone into drawdown, which is why a lot of people don't make money, because you have 3 chances to blow the account, or after 2 chances to make money in it.
It's true. So on that note, we are going to leave it there for now, but make sure you come back next week, where we will be continuing this conversation with the amazing Hamid.